Welcome to the Sheri Kaye Hoff Show, where we focus on living joyfully every day and cultivating heart and soul-based success. You can find the Sheri Kaye Hoff Show at sherikayehoff.com. That's SherikayeHoff.com. I'd like to introduce you to my guest today. Coach Michele Caron is the founder of mylifecoach.com and has been an executive life coach for over 20 years. She left her corporate career to found My Life Coach after 9/11, knowing that if she desired to live in a better world, she had a responsibility to help create it. Little did she know that mylifecoach.com would become Google's #1 life coaching site in the world in just a few years. She has focused on coaching executives, business owners, coaches, artists, and other leaders to lead fulfilling, successful lives based on living in alignment with their true selves. Coach Michele lives along the shores of the world's longest freshwater beach in Wasaga Beach, Ontario, Canada. Her newest adventure is learning to ride a motorcycle. However, her favorite biking activity is riding her bicycle with her rescue husky border collie, Mitzi. You can learn more about Michele at coachmichele.com. Hi, Michele. It's so amazing to have you here today. I'm so excited to have our conversation. So how are you? And tell us where you are in the world right now.
Sheri, thank you. I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm actually in Wasaga Beach, Ontario, Canada, which is where I live. It's the longest freshwater beach in the world. But we've also got mountains here and forests. It's such a beautiful place to live. And that's part of what I wanted when I became a coach. I wanted to live somewhere that was like being on a vacation. So obviously I work from home. I talk to people from all over the world, and I'm able to live in a place that's a beautiful vacation spot. So I'm very, very lucky to be here and to live in such a beautiful place. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be here right now with you. So this is super special.
Oh, me too. Me too. We've known each other for a while, so I am excited to get started with questions here. So one of the things that you say is kind of a theme is that most people are focused on the wrong things. Tell us more about that.
Yes. I mean, this is definitely a really important part of my coaching. And to start with, most people are, in general, big picture. I mean, it's wonderful to be focused on all the things that we work on, like having a great career and, I want to make money and I want to accomplish this and I want to accomplish that. But I'm going to start off by reminding us that, it's relationships that really bring us the fulfillment in life. And I talk to a lot of people that are very successful in their 50s, but they're asking, why aren't I happy or why aren't I fulfilled? And the one thing that's missing is the people aspect. So I'm just going to start off by emphasizing first and foremost that, it's our relationships, it's the people that really give life its meaning. But beyond that, like when we are working on stuff, we can tend to focus too much on the things that we don't control. And the real mastery in this comes in our emotional focus. So some of us have started to learn to mentally focus on the right things, but it's the emotional focus that can really take it to the right level. And when you start to learn the rules of where to put your mental and emotional focus, then you actually get like more control in all those things in life that we do actually want to achieve.
I love that. So give me an example of, maybe someone who is struggling with that emotional control. I mean, what would that look like? I mean, obviously, we're not talking about a specific person, but what would that look like?
Right. So like, one example that happens a lot, let's say at work, like you want to do well, you want to be liked, but you're worrying too much about what other people think about you. And it's causing you to not just kind of like be yourself. So we set a rule. So we've got the hand rules, and we use them so often in my coaching. We just call them the rules. But to keep everything straight, what I control is what I think, what I feel, what I say, and what I do. And what someone else controls, or what their business is what they think, they feel, what they say, and what they do. And by the way, everything else that happens, the outcomes, the whether things go good or bad, the whether I get a raise or I don't get a raise, actually on the whole, whether I'm like wonderfully popular or, it doesn't seem to go so great, we have to put that in the category of the universe's business or God's business, because it's not under direct human control.
Mm-hmm.
But when we start to really like sort that out, then we do really like focus on what's really for us, which is like our own right action. How do I really feel? What really feels right to me? So I'm not so worried about like what another person might be thinking about me, or what they might be feeling about me, or if they make a funny face, was it because of me? No, I just focus on being nice. I focus on doing the right thing. I focus on what I think is the best way to be a supportive person and a good employee, and what I think is the right thing to do. And the rest is going to take care of itself. And if you start to focus like that, everything starts to go smoother.
Mm-hmm. Do you notice, I feel like you are, and maybe I don't know that for sure, but I'm a highly empathic person. Like I can really feel the feelings of other people. And when I was younger, that really threw me for a loop because, when I was trying to mind my own business and focus on the things that, I can control, I could feel like the emotional weight of the other person or what was going on. I mean, I could feel if they liked me or not.
Right.
And so and those are the skills that make me a great coach and make you a great coach probably too. So when someone is like that, and I feel like people who are attracted to coaching or being coached often are in that category where they, really have a sense of their surroundings. Is there something extra for that person to do to stay in their own energy?
First off, I'm going to say it's a wonderful asset that you can feel those things. And so you do have a wonderful sense of your environment. So that's fantastic. And it's wonderful. I'm saying you, big you, all of us empathic people. So feel good about it. Feel wonderful. Feel lots of compassion for yourself and others in all of these situations, but remember not to take things personal. So if another person's having an upset, even if it's related to something that is happening with you, it's not necessarily about you. So first and foremost, put that into your mind. It's not about you, even if it's something to do with you. That's first and foremost. But there's lots of techniques as well to make sure that you like understand what's your own energy. And you can even do some really great visualizations, like when you first get out of bed in the morning, feel your own energy, feel where it is in your body, and sort of like expand it, sort of breathe it out. So you can kind of feel like a little bit of an energy shell with yourself, getting larger and larger and larger. And like I I hesitate to call it like a protective shell or protective barrier, but just more like understanding your own energy and understanding what's you and what's somebody else. And you know what's a really crucial thing, and I bet you've learned this over time too as a coach, is sometimes people have upsets, and that's part of life, and that's okay. It's okay for people to be going through things, and we don't have to be sad and upset because someone else is having an upset. It's actually a call for us to get more centered within ourselves, become more loving, be more present, because then we can help more.
Excellent points. It's a lot to think about. So, we kind of just sort of went into this topic of energy management, but you have this saying, It's funny, we must be on the same wavelength because I say this all the time too, is that energy management is way more important than time management. So let's tell people what that means.
This is so important. And so many people that come to coaching, as I'm sure you well know, they have all these things they want to accomplish, but they'll say, I have no time. I want to do this and that, but I've looked at my schedule and there's no extra time. I can't figure out how to do things. And maybe even you sit down with them as a coach and you look at their schedule and you're kind of like, okay, yeah, it sort of seems like you don't have a lot of time. But what really does need to be examined is the energy management. And one way to think about your energy is that we have 4 types. We have our physical energy, our mental energy, our emotional, and our spiritual. Our physical, we all know what that is. That's our ability to do physical things. And this actually underlies all the other kinds of the energies because we are physical beings. Then we've got our mental energy. That's our ability to think and make decisions. We've got our emotional energy. That's our resiliency. That's our ability to stay positive when we come up against all those little challenges in life. And then we've got our spiritual energy, and that's our big picture. Why am I doing this? What's my meaning behind this? That's our values. That's our inspiration. So these are the things that we need to attend to: our physical energy, our mental energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy. If we start to take care of this, we're going to start to find that we have more time. And people are shocked. Like, where did this magical time come from? But it comes from the little spaces that are created inside of our own head. And it may be when we're a little bit too low, we're scrolling on Facebook, or we don't know what to do, or we waste time with the wrong kinds of action. So time will change if we start to take care of the energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I look at time as it's really fluid.
Mhm.
It can expand and contract. And I've had all kinds of instances where something that should have taken 2 weeks takes a weekend. And not because I'm making myself insane over it, but it's the focus of it. Or, sometimes, it kind of can go in the other way too. But when we realize that, then, hey, focusing on our energy, it's so much easier. And when I started focusing on self-improvement back in my early 20s, I think my idea was to see if I could create more time so I could cram more into my day.
Right.
I wasn't trying to have a balanced life. I was just trying to figure out how I could get more done. And boy, has that shifted. And I think the sooner people can make that shift, the faster, you start to see results and you start to feel better.
That's really wonderful. And I can see from what you're describing how you really were acting from alignment. And if more people can get to that place where they've managed their energies and they understand that time is fluid, you can act from alignment and everything goes completely different. You can make the most wonderful creations in a seemingly magical or limited amount of time. So yes, you're right that time is completely different from what we traditionally think it is.
Mm-hmm. So, you also say that goals don't make you happy. They're just a vehicle for learning to be happy. So how can people make that shift? Because, you know, I've studied happiness for over 20 years. And one of the things that I notice with people is they're, saying, well, I'll be happy when this happens, when that happens.
I want to change it from I'll be happy when to I'll be happy then. And, I'll be happy then I'll get an amazing boyfriend. I'll be happy then, my career will start to take off. So it's about realizing that it's about the process. All life is about the process. Having goals and our dreams and all the things we're working on, that's wonderful. That's what we're here for on earth. We're doing all these wonderful things. But it's really helping us to learn how to be happy. It's about learning to be in alignment. So let's place some value on that happiness and place some value on that process. And that's part of why you were such a genius to write your book, Keys to Living Joyfully, because that happiness needs to come first. And if people want to be successful, they want to have an amazing career, they want to have an amazing, coaching business and helping people or whatever it is they want to do, it's just important to remember that, hey, like, the happiness part, that's the first part. It's not the last part. And to honor that and feel good about that and put value on that. And once you start to make that shift, again, everything's going to go a lot smoother and easier.
Mm-hmm. That book was birthed from a moment that I had in my life where I had achieved something really big. And I was like, yay, I did it. I did it. And then I was like, oh no, I did it. I did it. And it wasn't like this magical waterfall of happiness. And that was dramatic. And it was almost like a going back to ground zero of I had been working so hard to achieve that. And then when it happened, I thought, I need a shift here, because I realized quickly that anything else that I had in that same order of when I complete a book, when I start this business, finish this business, whatever, was going to have that same kind of feeling if I didn't change something inside. And so that's really what fostered that book. And you wrote the foreword to that book. I think you were one of the first 3 people that read it. Such an exciting moment in my life. Thank you for that.
Well, that is an incredible blessing that you had that experience and you had that insight and you've been able to share it with others through your book and your work. But that is so important. And there's people that sometimes start to feel sad even at the cusp of achieving something because it's starting to fall away, and we need to completely shift that and start to enjoy the process, because really there is no end point. Life is all about the journey, and we need to start appreciating the happiness like right now.
Mm-hmm. My son Jeff does 50 to 100-mile running races. And he and I were just talking about that, how there is a known thing of the after the race depression. It's like feeling like it's going to be this huge life achievement. And then it's almost like such a loss afterwards. And so he's had to learn to shift that too, because, he's achieving incredible things when it comes to like physical health and strength and endurance. But he's got to have that mental aspect of it too. Otherwise, it's not really adding to his life as much as it possibly could. And he has made that shift. But it was a good conversation to have and good to see his progression through all these races that he's doing.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He's lucky to have you to have those conversations.
I'm lucky to have him too. So, okay. So another thing that you like to talk about, which I just love, is you don't have to know how to heal, grow, or change. You only need to gift yourself with love and compassion. That gives me goosebumps.
This is really special. And so often, especially in the transformation process, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners are at the point where they've grown a lot, they've transformed a lot, they've had a lot of personal development. But sometimes we're still coming up against certain, I'm just going to say problem areas, whether it's a quote unquote problem area in your body or in your career or your bank account or your relationships. And sometimes we're just really not sure how to proceed or how to grow or how to change or what needs to happen. And what I'm saying is you don't need to know exactly what needs to happen. The most wonderful thing that you can gift yourself is just compassion and presence and love, especially in the very moment when those things arise. So I'm having some upset about money, or I'm having some upset about my relationship. That's the very moment to gift yourself with love, light, compassion, any kind of caring, whatever you can do to comfort yourself in that moment. That's actually what your whole system, your mind, body, heart, spirit needs to give you further transformation, to help you heal. Your whole self knows what you need to heal. Sometimes it'll give you a little inkling of a next step or something you need to do. But your most important part, your first thing, is to give yourself that compassion, that presence, that love, and not really resist what's going on for you.
That's really beautiful and so true. I think a good question to ask would be, how can I love myself through this? I like those reflective questions. So, you also talk about the idea that your relationship with everything, other people, your career, your money, your body, begins and ends with the relationship that you have with yourself.
I think this is an extension of what we've been talking about already. We all want It's very popular now to say, oh, my relationship with money, or maybe it's my relationship with a partner, or with my career, or with my body, or anything else. You're going to find that all of that is a reflection with how much I can really love myself. How do I talk to myself? What is it like inside my own mind? Am I caring? Am I loving? Is it a safe space for me inside of my own mind and inside of my own heart? That's where the real work is. And when you start to focus in, coming back around to focus, when you focus in on where the real juice is, it's in loving yourself, being present with yourself, being present with these little things will come up related to all of these areas. But that's where you want to be very gentle and loving and caring with yourself, present with yourself. The more you can love yourself, the more you can love others, the more you can love your bank account, no matter what state it is, the more you can love your career in all of its expansion, the more you can love yourself and your body in all of its healing and growth and expansion. So that's where it all starts.
Mhm. Mm. So I'm thinking of sort of a controversy over this that, there's, people who will say, well, that's really self-indulgent or so help differentiate the difference between self-indulgence and self-love so that people who are listening, don't go to the place of, well, that's really selfish of me if I focus on that.
Exactly. Well, the one thing that I always remind myself is, and I'll use the word selfish, if I'm really selfish and I make sure that I'm okay, then I'm the healthiest that I can be. And then I can bring whatever gifts I have to the world most fully. So then I'm most present for my children. I'm most present for my spouse. I'm most present for my clients, for whoever I work with, for whatever I'm doing. So when you do the mental and emotional math, no matter how you think about it, it makes the most sense to take care of yourself so that you're present and available and highly functioning and ready to bring your best self into the world so that we can all contribute the most to the world and make this world a better place.
I think too that some of it is, what is the meaning of words? And I know when I was growing up, I grew up in a really strict family. And one of the most hurtful things that I could hear when my parents were upset with me is, how could you be so selfish?
Mm.
And so as I'm listening to you and as I've been, growing over the years, looking at it um, that word doesn't have to have that sting to it, or we can switch the meaning to it or even not use that word, but it's just a different energy. But so much of the feelings that we have come from a place that we don't recognize right away. That oh, I'm resisting loving myself because of some big story from the past. So I think this is such a powerful conversation that we're having here today. So I know that you have a great freebie for our listeners. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yes, if you go to my website at coachmichele.com, I have my 99 Intentions for a Great Life download, and you're welcome to visit me and download that. And it's a wonderful, list of little things that you can focus on again that will give you, you can do them for a day or a week or however long you want. And it just, helps bring something wonderful into your life. And it helps that process of bringing happiness into your life. And beyond that, of course, the wonderful results that we all love to get.
Mm. So, from our conversation, we've talked about a lot of deep, meaningful things and ideas. What is the one or two things that you would like people to take away that they could just start on immediately when they get done with listening?
again, and I'm just going to remind people, I've been coaching people for almost 25 years, so I've seen how this works, and this was a big surprise to me. But the number one thing is, if you want the results that you want, you got to start with your happiness first. So start with taking care of yourself, start with happiness, let things flow from there. Everything is going to go so much smoother. You are going to get all those things that you want. I'm on your team. I want you to have all those wonderful things, but put your happiness first and foremost. Learn how to run your own self in a way and manage your own self in a way so that you're happy and healthy, and all of the wonderful things that you want in life are going to flow from there.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. And I know that people have gotten a lot of value from it. And I know that we'll have you back again sometime soon. Thank you so much, Michele.
You're welcome, Sheri. It's my pleasure. It's such a joy, and I can't wait to see you again soon.
Sounds good. You can find the Sheri Kaye Hoff Show at sherikayehoff.com. That's SherikayeHoff.com.